Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Advaita Harina Advaita Acharyam Bhakti Shamsanat. Chapter 6 entitled The Glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. To read, please raise your electronic hand. So the text 14. Purva Ishvarai che dvimurti hoy Vishwa Srishti kare nimitta upadana lana. Maybe I missed it, sorry. Text 14 and 15 are together. Maya yaiche dui amsha nimitta upadana Maya nimitta hetu upadana pradhan Srishti kare nimitta upadana lana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, looks list of two parts, the efficient cause, nimitta, and the material cause, upadana. My efficient cause and pradhana, the material cause, with the efficient and the material causes. So, a little bit technical, therefore Prabhupada is giving a very long purport. So in short, the material cause that refers to the pradhana here. So Lord Vishnu is forms to create the material world with these two causes. And nimitta is the efficient cause, also the Maya. So maybe everyone can read one or two paragraphs. So
there are two conclusions is that the Supreme Personal Godhead, the all blissful, eternal, all-knowing form, is indirectly the cause of these, where there are innumerable spiritual planets known as Vaikuntras, as well as his cosmos and the spiritual world. As in the material world, there are innumerable planets and universes, so in the spiritual world, there are innumerable spiritual planets and universes, including the Vaikuntha and Goloka. The supreme law is the question, of course, is that this cosmic manifestation is caused by an inexplicable, unmanifested void. This argument is meaningless. The first conclusion is accepted by the Vedanta philosophers, and the second is supported by Smriti, which directly opposes the Vedantic philosophical conclusion. Metal scientists cannot see any cognizant spiritual substance that might be the cause of the creation. Such atheistic Shankar philosophers think that the symptoms of knowledge and living force visible in the innumerable living and creatures are caused by the three qualities of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the Shankars are against the conclusion of Vedanta regarding the original cause of creation. Back to Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchidananda, all blissful, all knowing, is indirectly the cause of this manifestation. Indirectly means that it's not that like he's putting all the brick and mortar and creating everything. But indirect cause, we can see like the owner of a big company, let's say L&T, I think they are construction, right? They're a big construction group. They were involved in the construction of the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. But do you think that the CEO of L&T or the president of L&T was working there? No. he was not working, like he was not putting bricks and cement there, but he was very instrumental for the material and spiritual creations. Mm. So the atheistic people, scientists or atheistic scientists, materialistic scientists, they believe in Big Bang. Hmm? Big Bang, not big brain. So, but here we believe in the big the conclusion of Vedanta is the is the big brain, Sachidananda Krishna. Hmm. Okay, let's read further. Yes, Shiroma Mataji, you want to read the next two?
Mm. Actually, the Supreme Absolute Spirit Soul is the cause of every kind of manifestation, and he is always complete, both as the energy and the energetic. The cosmic manifestation is caused by the energy of the Supreme Absolute Person, in whom who are subjectively engaged in the cosmic manifestation can appreciate only the wonderful energies of matter. Such philosophers accept the conception of God only as a product of the material energy. According to the conclusions, the source of energy is. Such philosophers wrongly observe that the living creatures within the cosmic manifestation are caused by the material energy, and they think that the Supreme Absolute Conscious Being must similarly be a product of the material energy. Such materialistic philosophers and product of a material combination, but the actual fact is just the opposite. Matter is a product of spirit. According to Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead, is the source of all energies. When one advances, and naturally one goes on hypothetically accepting the path of research work or the inductive method. Through the deductive way of understanding, however, one accepts the Supreme Absolute Person, the personality of Godhead, as the cause of all causes, who is full with diverse energies and who is neither impersonal nor void. The impersonal manifestation the impersonal manifestation of the Supreme Person is another display of his energy. Therefore, the matter is the original cause of creation is completely different from the real truth. The material manifestation is caused by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, inconceivably potent. Material nature is electrified. Material nature. Um, Prabhuji, someone will have to take over. Sorry, he won't let me read. Over back to you.
Mm. Maybe he's saying, why are you reading alone? Why are you not giving chance to me to read? I
Yes.
also want to read.
Yeah.
See, he's so happy to read the Chaitanya.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, I'll complete the paragraph for you. So material manifestation is caused by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is inconceivably potent. Material nature is electrified by the supreme authority and the conditioned soul within the limits of time and space, is trapped by awe of material manifestation. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually realized in the vision of a material philosopher and scientist through the manifestations of his material energy. For for one who does not understand the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his diverse energies, not knowing the relationship between the source of the energies and the energies themselves, and philosophers do not come to the right conclusion, certainly they will hover above the material field, bereft of proper understanding of the absolute truth. I know this section could be a little technical, and you might be wondering, well, it's all about the pastime of the Supreme Lord, right? So, which it is, but we have to wait a little bit to get there. Um, Maybe I to tell because some of you may be reading Chaitanya Caritamrita like first time, and you may be starting in the middle at chapter 6. So it's important to share a little bit background also. So Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Anta Lila. These are the three like parts of Chaitanya Caritamrita. And Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, Anti Lila. Adi means beginning, right? Madhya means middle, and Antya means end or last. So, just to give a brief background of the flow of the book, and the author is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, there are multiple books about the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mangal, right, by
Srila
Lochendas.
Vrindavan Das Thakur.
Chaitanya Mangal is by Lochendas Thakur. Chaitanya Bhagavat is by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And Chaitanya Charita by Murari Gupta. Like Srila Prabhupada's pastimes also, right? Like it might be even better for us to understand through this way. Prabhupada's biography has been written by many of Prabhupada's disciples, right? Different sections. But the primary one which we follow the most is the Prabhupada Lila Amrita, right? By Srila Satswarup Goswami Maharaj. But there are other Prabhupada disciples also who have written wonderful books like Chasing the Rhinos, right? My Memories of Prabhupada, and multiple, The Juhu Journey, right? By other Prabhupada's bona fide disciples. So those are also very nice. But primarily, we refer to the Prabhupada Lila Amrit. Others are also great, one can read. And it's not that the authors will try to repeat each other. They may repeat a little bit section to give the context, but primarily they will try to share things which may not be covered. So all these authors also did the same. Because there's no point. Like, let's say I share one story, and then like let's say one of the Prabhupada disciples wrote the same story, and another Prabhupada disciple wrote the same story, same word. It's not just to fill the content or the pages, right? But some more details, some more other pastime, because the glories of Lord and the Lord's pure devotees are unlimited. So, although Vrindavan Das Thakur was considered the principal authority on Lord Chaitanya's life at that time, he did not elaborate much on the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, for he feared that his book would become voluminous. However, wanting to hear those later pastimes, Sri Haridas Pandit and various other devotees of Vrindavan eagerly petitioned Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So at that time, the book was already there. Like Vrindavan Das Thakur had already written. So they later petitioned Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to expound upon these pastimes for the pleasure of the generations to come. Considering their wishes as his only ambition, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami agreed to write. So it was certainly, devotee is not looking for name, fame, right? So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, commenced this great work. Can anyone know at what age? He was how old?
95.
80,
No?
18. No,
80s.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author. 80, 80, you said?
Yeah,
18, what?
yes, yes, 80s.
80s, yeah, 80s, 95, yeah, it
He,
was
he's
90
almost
years.
he's almost blind.
I had
Hmm.
above 90.
Yes, about 90 years old, right? And Chaitanya Charitamrita is today accepted as the foremost literature for the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and the mood of Lord Chaitanya due to the systematic representation of both the philosophy and the pastime. So what we are covering in the first, actually, let me share first quite a few chapters. Like you see, we haven't even touched where was Lord Chaitanya, where was he born, or we haven't touched. Mhm. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is so much about philosophy also. Mhm. Especially the first about 14 chapters or so, right? first 14 chapters, sorry, first first 7 chapters actually talk about this philosophy. The 14 verses, we discussed that, right, the other day. So the first 7 chapters, like, more about philosophy, about Chaitanya Tattva, Nityananda Tattva, Advaita Acharya, Panchatattva, etc. And then Adi Lila. Then there is about Krishna Prema Taru, the transcendental tree of devotion of Krishna Prema. And then from chapter 13, so chapter 8 to 12 are about this transcendental tree. And then chapter 13 onwards till chapter 17, there are 17 chapters in Adi Lila. Then it's about the first 24 years or early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. His Janma, his Bal Lila, Pauganda Lila, Kishore Lila, Yavan Lila, etc. In the last 4 chapters. That's a brief flow of Adi Lila. Is everyone okay? So first 12, first 7, then 8 to 12, then 13 to 17. There will come more stories, more pastimes. Any thoughts, comments? There are multiple verses from Bhagavad Gita in Caitanya Caritamrita. It's written in Sanskrit. There are multiple verses from Puranas, from Srimad Bhagavatam, and from other great Goswamis. And primarily, those could be in Sanskrit also, those verses, like from Gita, Bhagavatam. But primarily, the book is in Bengali language, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is writing directly. So, it's mentioned. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that he's simply trying to chew the remnants left by Vrindavan Das Thakur. It comes in the Adi Leela. That he avoids describing those pastimes that were already described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. He repeatedly mentions the vastness of Chaitanya Leela and how he is unable to describe it properly. The pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like the unfathomable ocean. It is not possible for me to enter into this ocean. Simply standing on the shore, I'm trying to touch the water. Like, if we are standing on the shore, how much can we understand about the ocean? The length, the breadth, the magnitude, the depth. We cannot fathom. We're just trying to touch the water. And in a very great mood of humility and surrender. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. So back to this verse which we are reading. So there is inductive knowledge called Aropat, and there is deductive knowledge called Avropat or path. So in the inductive knowledge, like, oh, I will figure it out. Oh, I know. Oh, I am a great intelligent person, like materialistic scientists, and for them, they may reach to the conclusion that God is the source of everything. But often they don't, because of lack of training, because of lack of that lens to see the hand of God in everything. But some, even great scientists, they reach to this conclusion, like Newton, and like many great scientists, they reach to conclusion that I'm amazed, like even calculus, then Newton, they said my knowledge is like a uh, particle of sand on the ocean, and God's knowledge is like the ocean, all the just to give some relative understanding. So, but many don't reach to that conclusion. But in the deductive path, like if someone has to figure out who his father is, Either one can do research of all the potential fathers, right, in the world, which will be like millions. It'll take a lot of time to do the DNA test, blood test, this test, all many tests to figure out whose DNA the child's DNA matches with. But is that a great process? By the time all the tests are done, the father will be dead or the child will be dead because it'll take like decades, hundreds, centuries maybe. The simple process is the deductive process. Accept a bona fide mother and ask the mother, who's the father? The mother knows. So Shastras are like that mother, the bona fide Shastras. And they clearly tell Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So that is the deductive process. And it's always safe, easy, straightforward, simple to do that. Otherwise, life will be too complex. And there is chance of error, imperfect senses, all that stuff, which we have covered. So these two paragraphs were more on those lines. Any thoughts, comments? Okay, Ruby Mataji, you can read the next two paragraphs.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna devotee, Dandavat Pranams. The great Vaishnava philosopher Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has very nicely explained the materialistic conclusion in his Govinda Vyasa, a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. He writes as follows. The Sankhya philosopher Kapila has connected the different elementary truths according to his own opinion. Material nature, according to him, consists of the equilibrium of three material qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Material nature produces the material energy known as Mahata, and Mahat produces the false ego. The ego produces the five objects of sense perception, which produce the 10 senses, five for acquiring knowledge and five for working, the mind and the five gross elements. Counting the Purusha or the enjoyer with these 24 elements, there are 25 different truths. The non-manifested stage of these 25 elementary truths is called Prakriti or material nature. The qualities of material nature can associate in three different stages, namely as the cause of happiness, the cause of distress, and the cause of illusion. The quality of goodness is the cause of material happiness. The quality of passion is the cause of material distress, and the quality of ignorance is the cause of illusion. Our material experience lies within the boundaries of these three manifestations of happiness, distress, and illusion. For example, a beautiful woman is certainly a cause of material happiness for one who possesses her as a wife, but the same beautiful woman is a cause of distress to a man whom she rejects or who is the cause of her anger. And if she leaves a man, she becomes the cause of illusion. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to
Hare Krishna. Anyone has any comments, thoughts here? I think this example is quite clear. Kabe hobo dubo bhai, right? Sometimes happy, sometimes distress. Same thing, right? The same person may cause happiness, sometimes great suffering. So to give us the greatest joy and the greatest suffering, right? So, okay, I think it comes multiple times. So let's understand this a little bit. The 24 elements. Yeah, this is actually the concocted theory. So we are not much interested in the concocted theory, right? According to his own opinion, this is concocted. So let's see further. Yes.
The two kinds of senses are the 10 external senses and the one internal sense, the mind. Thus, there are 11 senses. According to Kapila, material nature is eternal and all powerful. Here, philosophy regards the total energy, Mahatattva, the false ego, and the 5 objects of sense perception as the 7 diverse manifestations of material nature, which has the Purusha, the enjoyer, is without transformation, whereas material nature is always subject to transformation. But although material nature is inert, it is the cause of enjoyment and are beyond the conception of sense perception. But still, one may gaze at them by superior intelligence. Material nature is one, but because of the interaction of the three qualities, it can produce the total energy. The Purusha, the enjoyer, is inactive and without material qualities, although at the same time he is the master, existing separately in each and every body as the emblem of knowledge. The enjoyer, being without activity, is aloof from all kinds of enjoyment or superintendence. Sankhya philosophy, after describing the nature of Prakriti, material nature, and proximity to one another, with such unification, the living symptoms are visible in material nature, but one can guess that in the person of the enjoyer, the Purusha, there is knowledge. He feels himself to be the enjoyer. And when he is in full knowledge, he is liberated. In the Sankhya philosophy, the Purusha is described to be always indifferent to the activities of Prakriti. Okay. Should I read this one, Prabhu? Or someone?
Yeah, Mataji, please, you can read.
The Sankhya philosopher accepts 3 kinds of evidences, namely direct perception, hypothesis, and tradition. There is not much controversy regarding direct perceptional evidence or authorized traditional evidence. The Sankhya system of philosophy identifies 3 kinds of procedures, namely performance of energies as the cause of the cosmic manifestation.
Hare Krishna. I know it's originally there is no spirit. Matter has no cause. Matter itself is the chief cause. It's basically like denying the hand of God, right? So that's why we don't accept. So this conclusion, because he thinks that discrediting these so-called causes of the cosmic manifestation will nullify the entire Sankhya philosophy. Materialistic philosophers accept matter to be the material and efficient water pot, but the clay can be found as both cause and effect. The water pot is the effect, and clay itself is the cause. But water flows. In this way, the Sankhites, this way, say the Sankhites, matter is the cause of movements and production. You see, so like for an ordinary person, therefore we have to be careful. Examples like these, they mean Sankhites here. They give such examples. See, water or clay. Clay is the cause, clay is the effect, cause and effect. The example of the water pot or the tree is matter, produces fruit. So water is flowing. So as such, matter can be considered the material and the efficient cause of everything. The material and the efficient cause. Or therefore enunciated that the nature of pradhan as follows. So right now you're listening more of the Sankhites version. But now we'll see more about the Vaishnava Acharya Baldev Vidyabhushan. To give one short story, which I think many of you have heard, right? There was I think one scientist and his friend, Supreme Lord. He said, no, everything came by chance. You know, there's no divine hand. Maybe something happened thousands of years, millions of years back, and then this world, this nice ocean, fauna, different animals, different plants were created just like randomly. So this friend who was very analytical, very scientific, and a firm believer of God, he built a very nice model of the universal solar system. And he would rotate, and the planets would rotate in a very organized orbits. And so then his friend came to this his atheistic friend came one day and he saw, oh my God, you built such a beautiful model. How did you do that? He said, well, I was just, I got some wood, I got some metal, I got some glue and stuff, and I was just sleeping and just got up. And he said, come on, this cannot be like that. You can't just buy like some wood and clay and everything in this perfect arrangement and fashion can happen. No, impossible. Then he said, this friend who was a believer of God, that this tiny model, this tiny pen, they cannot come by chance. They're rotating so nicely. It's just a tiny piece of model with some balls and some glue and stuff. This tiny thing cannot come by chance. How do you think this big Earth, this big planet, Jupiter, Saturn, all these planets and unlimited stars, suns, moon, they're all just floating in the universe just by chance? There is so much precision, there is so much balance in the universe. The more complicated the creation is, the more intelligent the creator is. So it is not by chance, it is by perfect design. Hmm. Do you think you like if you have to make a car, just we get some steel, get some plastic, get some electronic components, and just like put in a mixer grinder and the car will come out? No, it's a lot of design, lot of precision, lot of thought goes to build that. Mm. And still there are mistakes, right? When they have recalls. But you see, God never had a recall. He didn't say, oh, Earth, I forgot to give something. In cars, there are recalls. In planes, there are recalls. In other, you know, equipment, there are recall. Oh, the manufacturer made a mistake. But God's creation is so perfect. Krishna does not make mistakes. So let's see a little bit from Baldev Vidya Bhushan. Let's see if we can complete. Still, we have. Okay, let's read for next 10 minutes. Anyone wants to read this part? Material nature. Subhadra Gopika Mataji, are you in a position to read? Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna. Panchang pranam to all the devotees. Yes, I can read, Prabhu.
Please, Haribol, thank
Material,
you.
material nature is inert, and as such, it cannot be the cause of matter, neither as the material nor as the efficient cause. Seeing the wonderful arrangement and management of the cosmic manifestation generally suggests that a living brain is behind this arrangement. For without a living brain, such an arrangement could not exist. One should not imagine that such an arrangement can exist without conscious direction. In our practical experience, we never see that inert bricks can themselves construct a big building. The example of the water pot cannot be accepted because a water pot has no perception of pleasure and distress. Such perception is within. Therefore, the covering body or the water pot cannot be synchronized with it. Sometimes the material scientists suggest that trees grow from the earth automatically without assistance from a gardener, because that is a tendency of matter. They also consider intuition of living creatures from birth to be material. But such material tendencies as bodily intuition cannot be accepted as independent, for they suggest the existence of a spirit soul within the body. Actually, neither the tree nor any other body of a living creature has any tendency or intuition. The tendency and intuition exist because the soul is present within the body. In this connection, the example of a car and a driver may be given very profitably. The car has a tendency to turn right and left, but one cannot say that the car itself, as matter, turns right and left without the direction of a driver. A material car has neither tendencies nor intuitions independent of the intentions of the driver within the car. The same principle applies for the automatic growth of trees in the forest. The growth takes place because of the soul's presence within the tree. Sometimes foolish people take it for granted that because scorpions are born from heaps of rice, the rice has produced the scorpions. The real fact, however, is that the mother scorpion lays eggs within the rice, and by the proper fermentation of the rice, the eggs give birth to several baby scorpions, which in due course come out. This does not mean that the rice gives birth to the scorpions. Similarly, sometimes bugs are seen to come from dirty beds. This does not mean, however, that the beds give birth to the bugs. It is the living soul that comes forth, taking advantage of the dirty condition of the bed. There are different kinds of living creatures. Some of them come from embryos, some from eggs, and some from the fermentation of perspiration. Different living creatures have different sources of appearance, but one should not conclude that matter produces such living creatures. Read on, Prabhu, the example. The example cited by materialists that trees automatically come from the earth follow the same principle. Taking advantage of a certain condition, a living entity comes from the earth. According to the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, every living being is forced by divine superintendence to take a certain type of body according to his past deeds. There are many varieties of bodies, and because of a divine arrangement, a living entity takes bodies of different shapes. When a person thinks, I am doing this, the I does not refer to the body. It refers to something more than the body or within the body. As such, the body as it is it has neither tendency nor intuition. The tendencies and intuition belong to the soul within the body. Material scientists sometimes suggest that the tendencies of male and female bodies cause their union, and that this is the cause of the birth of the child. But since the Purusha, according to the Sankhya philosophy, is always unaffected, where does the tendency to give birth come from? Sometimes material scientists give the example that milk turns into curd automatically, and that diluted water pouring from the clouds fall down where am I? Down to earth, produces different kinds of trees and enters different kinds of flowers and fruits with different fragrances and taste. Therefore, they say matter produces varieties of material things on its own. In reply to this argument, the same proposition of the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, that different kinds of living creatures are put into different kinds of bodies by the management of a superior power, is repeated. Under superior superintendence, various souls, according to their past activities, are given the chance to take a particular type of body, such as that of a tree, animal, bird, or beast, and thus their different tendencies develop under these circumstances. The Bhagavad Gita 13.22 also further affirms Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhakti Prakriti Jana Gunan Karanam Guna Sangosya Asya Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets the good and evil among various species. The soul is given different type of bodies. For example, were souls not given varieties of tree bodies, the different varieties of fruits and flowers could not be produced. Each class of tree produces a particular kind of fruit and flower. It is not that there is no distinction between the different classes. An individual tree does not produce flowers of different colors or fruits of different taste. There are demarcated classes as we find them among humans, animals, birds, and other species. There are innumerable living entities and their activities who formed in the material world according to the different qualities of the material modes of nature. Give them the chance to have different kinds of lives.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So, how will Vidya Bhushan is refuting this point that, oh, the rain comes and the trees grow by themselves, right? Or one may say, well, I didn't grow mold, right? In a dirty place, the mold will grow. As Prabhupada gives an example, in dirty bed, the bed bugs will come. So the bed gave birth to bed bugs. Or Prabhupada is also giving the example of the rice and the scorpion, right? The rice gave birth to the scorpion. No, that's not the case. There were eggs before. With time, the babies came out. Similarly, if the bed is dirty, if something is dirty in a humid environment, the mold will come with time. The weeds, it's not that the matter gave birth. Ultimately, there are so many microorganisms around, right? And dirt, moisture, it favors their growth. So then the soul comes up. The soul gets a body. So in short, it's not by matter, but it's by the spirit. That's the whole point. There are so many varieties. If it was just by matter that the water and the earth are going to give trees, then why not all the trees be same, right? Even in the trees, there are so many varieties. Even in the all the species, there are so many varieties. No two people look same. No two people have same fingerprints, right? Isn't that like, just think about it? Like, come on. It's so like Krishna's creation is so dynamic. Like, no two people. How many people are in this tiny earth? 7 billion? What do they say? Around 8 billion? Hmm. And no two people have same fingerprints. Isn't that interesting? Like, fact. Come on. And it's just like a tiny area. It's not like maybe 1 inch approximately, 1 square inch, one inch square. Yeah. No two people, the fingerprints will match. That's amazing. Just think about that. So that such a divine, intelligent creation is there. Hmm. Which all shows that it is not by some random chance, but by a very, very thoughtful design by the Supreme Creator. Purusha prakritosti bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karnan gunasangosya sad asad yoni janmashu. So the living entity in the material nature follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes. Bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. Keeps moving in this cycle based on the gunas, based on the activities, based on the kind of sangha, means good and evil species. There's so many species: heaven, hell, up, down. Kabbe habba dubu bhai. In this punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, this cycle. So in short, it's not by chance, it's not by some material arrangement. It is by the Supreme Lord's, the master plan, the chief engineer, Brahma, who is also his energy. Any thoughts? It's a very long purport, so we'll read. Yes, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, the efficient cause is the cause how the Lord creates this universe, and the material cause the way we born, right, with our past dates. So Krishna is the efficient cause, who is Purusha, and Prakriti is his external energy, but it's creates through material cause. Prabhuji, it's very complicated, but I just like to understand the difference between efficient cause and material cause.
Yeah, it is complicated. It will get more clear in the following two verses. But if I share a summary from the Subodhini. So Mahavishnu glances, right? Let's keep it simple. Mahavishnu glances over the material energy, right? That we all know.
Yes.
So he is the nimitta, right? For the two causes for the material. So Lord Mahavishnu assumes the two forms to create the material world with these two causes. So there are two aspects of Maya and there are two aspects of Lord Vishnu. So Mahavishnu glances over the material energy, and Narayana as Sri Advaita Acharya creates the material energy. Therefore, that part of the Lord who comes in contact with material energy is
In connection with
and Upadana. Sorry, my connection got lost. So here in this verse, text 14 and 15, it's only mention about the external energy or Maya. The following two verses, 16 and 17, will talk about the Vishnu, the two aspects of Vishnu, the two causes. Long story short, Mataji, to matter cannot create life. Some key takeaways, right? Matter cannot create. Matter needs someone, like the Prabhupada gave the example of a car and the driver. The car won't move without the driver.
yes, yeah.
So that's one of the key takeaways, which the Sankhyites say the opposite. So Prabhupada is refuting that through multiple ways.
Yes, like Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj, in his lecture one, he mentioned that in our body. When the soul leaves the body, then the consciousness actually gone. So that's why the body is all that time is a matter, and so that's why it's separated from soul and the matter, because there is no soul exists in the dead body, so only matter exists. So just I'm trying to relate that, but what we read, like with the matter cannot create alone.
Very nice. Okay. So matter is not the cause, but yeah, I think let's keep reading. I know it may be a little confusing today, a lot of technical terms, but Prabhupada did give some many examples, analogies. But as we read these texts till 19, it'll get more clear. श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्री कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी महाशय की जय, जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.